hello, and welcome back to the Smart Girl Podcast, where we keep it real about health, lifestyle, and everything in between from an urban millennial perspective. I am your host, M. Cherie, and I have the pleasure of introducing none other than Attorney Richard A. Ryles. He is from my hometown, West Palm Beach, Florida, and he is also running for office to become the next city commissioner for District 7 in West Palm Beach. He is a man of integrity and truth, and that is definitely what we need in a leader, whether it be at the city, state, or national level. He has our full support here at the Smart Girl Podcast, and we encourage our viewers to follow him on social media so that you can stay in the know. On today's episode of Jobs and Justice, we are doing a reaction to the recent presidential debate that was televised between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. I also want to give a quick disclaimer that we are not political commentators by nature, nor are we trying to sway anyone towards bipartisanship. This is a real reaction to the facts or statements that were presented during that presidential debate. With that being said, Attorney Ryles, welcome to the podcast. How are you?
I'm doing well. I got one correction. I'm
Yes.
running. I'm running for county commission, not city commission. I've already
Okay.
served as a city commissioner.
Okay. Awesome. That is awesome. That is awesome. All right. So I do apologize. County
No
Commissioner,
worries.
everyone. West Palm Beach, Florida, District 7. All right. That is awesome. Thank you for being here. We really appreciate you for taking the time out of your day to come sit down and talk with us. So I want to get into my first talking point, the Black Jobs comment, right? Let's talk
Right.
about it. So according to the Associated Press, Donald Trump warned during his debate with Joe Biden that migrants were taking black jobs from Americans. Like what does that even mean? What are your thoughts on how this comment resonates with voters of color and what implications might this comment have for his campaign?
Well, I think that African American voters saw it for what it was: is white supremacy just uh, dripping from every pore of the man, and there are no such thing as black jobs. And so, if you look at most of the different social media outlets like TikTok, jokes were made about it, but it really isn't a funny matter because we are pigeonholed into certain jobs. We still have a pay disparity that is roughly 50% of that of whites. And so, his bumbling misstatement really held a lot of truth in it because the reality is that we do have certain occupations and jobs that we're allocated to, and we probably never considered, except in the unusual circumstance, for many positions.
Okay. All right, very interesting comment. Very interesting. Thank you. I also wanted to my next talking point. According to the Associated Press, Biden's halting delivery and meandering comments, particularly early in the debate, fueled some concerns from some of his members in his own Democratic Party that at age 81 he might not be up for the task of leading the country for another 4 years. What is your reaction that Biden fumbled the ball when responding to claims and also rhetoric given by Donald Trump?
Uh, had Biden been a black man, he would have been immediately disqualified.
Hmm.
His performance was subpar. It's worse than subpar. And sadly, the Democratic Party will stick with him
Mm-hmm.
because although they claim to desire African American votes, our voices are almost non-existent,
Hmm.
and our and the thought that an African American or a woman of color, or a well qualified, in most instances, African American, Jamaican American, Indian
Hmm.
uh, woman of color.
Okay. Let me ask.
Just so you understand,
Hmm.
I am a Democrat,
Okay.
but the reality for African people in America is that the Democratic Party and the Republican Party, in my opinion, are two wings of the same bird. There's
Okay.
not much difference. There's
Right.
difference in terms of our civil rights
Hmm.
currently,
Hmm.
but the Democratic Party has offered us very little, has produced even less, and the Republican Party has offered us nothing. So we are in one of the worst positions that we've been in since Reconstruction, in my opinion.
Okay. Interesting, interesting. If I could add a part two to the question that I just asked you, if it came to a point where they felt like Biden had to step down and it were to be that Miss Harris, Kamala Harris, were to take his place, do you feel that she, being a female, would be able to take on that role for this country? I know that a lot of leaders in other countries are male, right? Prime ministers, presidents are typically male in other countries. Do you feel like if she had to assume that role in Biden's place, that she would be able to do that successfully?
I don't think her gender has anything to do with her abilities. Um,
Okay.
I think that her policies pre becoming vice president are troublesome. When she was a state attorney in California, if you look at her track record when it comes to the prosecution of black people, that's troublesome.
Mhm.
And so I would have more problems with her past history than I
Mhm.
would her gender. I don't think her
Okay.
gender has any disqualifying effect whatsoever.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you. All right, my next point. According to the Washington Post, Biden was aiming increasingly personal and sarcastic jabs at Trump. However, many people have said online or just in general that Trump was actually a little bit more serious or mature than they expected him to be during the debate, irregardless of some of the lies that he told. What is your reaction to this?
I think Biden came prepared for a sarcastic, name calling uh, debate that would was going to be a street fight,
Mm-hmm.
and Trump prepared in a way not to be as off-putting as he normally is.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think either one succeeded uh, to any great extent. Um, I do think that Trump probably was a little less offensive than he normally is. He didn't make any serious name calling of Biden and give him a nickname like he's done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And Biden, I think, needed to show that he had some strength, and being 81 years old. And, a lot of people don't take into consideration that uh, President Biden has a speech impediment. It's known, it's widely known that he had a stuttering problem for years. And
Mm-hmm.
so some of his halting may be related to age, but a lot of it, in my opinion, is related to his speech impediment.
Oh, okay. All right. That's an interesting take on it. Okay, because I didn't know that, so that's very interesting. Okay. Looking ahead to future debates, future presidential debates, or what have you, what changes or improvements would you like to see as a voter slash citizen in terms of format, moderation, and the overall candidate's approach to discussing issues?
Well, issues affecting African Americans are rarely covered. And I
I
think
agree.
that um, we've been in this country over 400 years, and we get one, maybe two questions in any debate forum. And so I think that if I were could wave my magic wand over the Democratic Party, if they want to recapture some of the losses that they've had
Mm-hmm.
with the African American community, is that they have a black debate where people are required to answer questions relative to the mistreatment of African Americans here in America and abroad.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at neocolonialism in Africa, that remains, our participation in that neocolonialism,
Mm-hmm.
our lack of coverage of Haiti, our benign neglect of Haiti when compared to Gaza and Palestine.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Both of those are troubling to me as a black person. And so we, Megan, you're too young to remember when black people used to get excited about the fact that a black character was going to be on television or
Mm-hmm.
that there was going to be a new black television show. It's almost that way when we look at presidential debates. We're excited when we come into the conversation, no
Mm-hmm.
different than we were when we got a chance to watch Roots and everybody left work a little early and gathered their family and sat around the TV set for a week
Right.
to watch Roots.
Right.
That's how we are treated still in 2024. And I think that, uh, and sadly, it will show in this election
Mm-hmm.
that your age group, and forgive my, I guess, indelicate way of putting this,
Go
but
ahead.
when
Go
you
ahead.
when you talk about politics with
Mm-hmm.
millennials, and from my experience,
Mm-hmm.
it's like somebody farted in the room.
Mm-hmm.
They want to talk about it about as much as people want to talk about that.
Right.
And so uh, it, the party is going to have a total revamp
Mm-hmm.
uh, from top to bottom to recapture us. We're at a
Mm-hmm.
time very much like when we left the Republican Party in the Goldwater years. Prior to Goldwater running for president, we were always Republican. I mean, just think about our past leaders: Frederick Douglass, Dr. King, all Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
Harriet Tubman, Republicans.
Oh wow.
But we stopped in what was it, 62 with the Goldwater Dixie strategy, which is really the precursor to the Southern strategy, where they started using dog whistles for racism, and the Dixiecrats left the Democratic Party and became Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
The previously the Democrats were essentially what the Republican Party is now, and
Mm-hmm.
in '62, Goldwater went after those Dixiecrats in the South and were able to flip them, and then the Republican Party became what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
Over the course of the next, decade, couple of decades, and
Mm-hmm.
so we are kind of like a party or a people without a country. And that
Okay.
that really is the way I see us,
Mm-hmm.
because neither party offers anything substantial. Neither party. I mean, there's a recent crime bill passed, which
Mm-hmm.
is almost as bad as the '90 omnibus crime bill, which gave harsher sentences for crack cocaine than powder cocaine.
Mm-hmm.
We are in the same kind of position, and sadly, if Trump gets elected, if you read that 2025 manifesto, which is
Mm-hmm.
just a few pages longer than the Mein Kampf, the suspension of the Constitution and the imprisonment of people, and the corralling of people in concentration camps
Mm-hmm.
is a reality. And sadly, your generation doesn't take any of that seriously because you have no reference point for when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
I was born at the tail end of segregation, but I still remember. I
Mm-hmm.
still remember having to, I used to think my grandmama was cooking all that fried chicken and had the tea and the yellow cake in the car when we would drive from New York to Tallahassee. It was
Right.
all for me, but
Right.
it was
Right.
because there were no restaurants that would serve blacks, and
Wow.
so your
Okay.
generations never had to experience that, and so they don't have a real reference point for how
Mm-hmm.
difficult times can get. And
Mm-hmm.
I'll finish with this. There is a reason why America wants to get rid of TikTok. It's probably one of the more informative mediums in social media.
Okay.
But if you look at TikTok, there are an overwhelming number of creators who are talking about relocating out of America into other countries like Africa and like South America, like Central America. And
Mm-hmm.
there's a reason for that.
Okay. Wow. Wow. That's some powerful information that you have really, really given. So, before we close, Attorney Riles, is there any last takeaway that you would like to leave with our audience when it comes to politics, the election process, government, or even the future of this country?
Well, I got into a debate with one of my law school classmates who I thought would be different. He's married to a woman from Nigeria. And I
Okay.
said, brother, I'm looking, because if you do ancestry.com,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm sorry, africanancestry.com, and you come back with a certain percentage of African blood, you can get citizenship in probably, I think, 9 African countries right now. And
Mm,
because my blood comes back to Sierra Leone and Cameroon, I
mm-hmm.
can get citizenship in both of those countries as well as Ghana. And so I told him that I was seriously considering looking at dual citizenship in one of those countries. And he told me, man, ain't nothing on this earth gonna make me leave America.
Oh,
Too many of my
wow.
people died. Too many of my people built this country, and we are as entitled to it as anyone else. And so I had to perhaps rethink my view on that, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
not crazy either.
Right.
If things start going too far left,
Mm,
I'll be on the first thing smoking.
out of here.
You
Out
got
of here.
it. Especially since they're
Okay.
giving land in some of these places.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. That is so interesting, the conversation that is being had across the country, and how things are in general, and just how divisive, as they say, that's kind of like been the word, I guess, over the past year or so, divisive, how things have been just from a person or a person's viewpoint, or how they, their approach to politics and their worldview. It's just so amazing how one person or a few people's worldview can really shake up a nation, I guess. Like, that's just so crazy to me. Like, as a millennial, like you said, I did not experience a lot of the overt things that took place during segregation, or past that era and things like that. But it's just like to see things now,
Well,
especially like
Megan,
over the last,
Megan,
it's
let me let
it's
me put it let me,
wild.
let me put it to you this way. Sadly, my generation and the generation before me did not really game out. And when I say, I'm talking about, game theory,
Hmm.
where you look at all the consequences of a decision and what the potential results may be based on that decision.
Hmm.
I don't think that they adequately gamed out integration,
Hmm.
because integration has never occurred.
Okay.
Desegregation occurred,
Hmm.
but integration is that we became one.
Right.
And I can go to any high school, elementary school, middle school, junior high school, and go to the lunchroom,
Hmm.
and that will be evidence enough that there is little to no integration,
Hmm.
because you have the black
Wow.
kids eating with the black kids, you have the Hispanic kids eating with the Hispanic kids. And so we have desegregation, but we have never had integration. I can't tell you how many white friends I have.
Jeez.
Well, I can. I don't have any. They call me on my birthday, that were
Wow.
at my wedding, that
Hmm.
know my children's names, And I don't think that I'm unique.
Mm-hmm.
And so, because we've never had integration, we've always had a Black America and a white America, an Asian America and a Latin America or a Hispanic America. And sadly, we are now having to come to grips with what that means,
Mm-hmm.
and what the loss of white supremacy, what they are willing to do to maintain that. And it is violent, and
Mm.
it is
Man,
it is
it's unsettling.
it's unsettling.
It really is. It really is. Well, once again, Attorney Ryles, I would really, really like to thank you for coming to the Smart Girl podcast, to share your reaction about the presidential debate, and also on some other things that really our audience, especially millennials, because that is the perspective that we, normally address or are coming from. So I just want to thank you so much for being here with us today, taking time out of your day. I
Thank
really,
you.
really appreciate it. And as always, thank you for tuning in to today's episode of Smart Girl Podcast. If you enjoyed the conversation today, go ahead and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We give you captivating content and intellectual insights on the happenings of life. Also, make sure you respond to our community polls. We would love, love, love to hear from you. And as always, may your brilliance continue to enlighten the road ahead. Dare to be different in a world full of copies. Stay sharp, stay smart. Until the next time, Smart Girl Podcast.
Thank you.